the woman standing in the middle of Highway 50, had my exact face. I slammed both of my feet onto the brake pedal. The heavy tires of my commercial cargo van locked up, screeching violently against the wet asphalt. The smell of burnt rubber filled the cabin as the van hydroplaned, spinning slightly before jerking to a violent halt. My chest was heaving. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned completely white. It was 3:13 a.m. I was driving my usual long-haul route down Highway 50 in Nevada, widely known as the loneliest road in America. Out here, there are no streetlights. There are no gas stations. There is absolutely no cellular service. Just endless miles of cracked blacktop cutting through a barren, empty desert. The heavy rain was slamming relentlessly against my windshield, the wipers struggling to clear the glass. But through the thick sheet of rain, illuminated only by the harsh white glare of my high beams, I saw her. She was standing perfectly still directly in the middle of the double yellow lines. I sat frozen in the driver's seat for what felt like an eternity. The logical part of my brain told me to put the van in reverse and get out of there. But she looked stranded. She looked freezing. I grabbed my heavy metal security flashlight from the passenger seat, took a deep breath, and slowly pushed the heavy metal door open. The freezing rain hit my face like needles as I stepped out into the storm. The darkness out here was absolute. It felt thick and suffocating, like a physical weight pressing down on my shoulders. "Hey, are you okay?" I yelled over the deafening sound of the storm. "Are you hurt?" She didn't move a single muscle. As I took a slow step forward, shining the beam of my flashlight through the rain, my stomach completely dropped. The air around me suddenly felt mathematically wrong, like I had stepped out of reality. She was wearing a yellow raincoat. It was the exact same torn, faded yellow raincoat I was currently wearing. She was wearing the exact same heavy steel-toed work boots. Her dark hair was tied back in the exact same messy knot as mine. "Who are you?" I whispered, my voice trembling. I raised the flashlight higher, illuminating her face. A wave of pure, paralyzing terror washed over me. It was my face, but it was entirely wrong. It looked like a cheap, distorted copy of a human being. The proportions were uncanny and unsettling. Her eyes were completely solid black, devoid of any white. Her arms hung far too low, the joints looking stretched and broken, and her jaw hung unnaturally low, almost touching her collarbone, frozen in a silent, wide, impossible smile. I stumbled backward, my boots splashing in a cold puddle. I remembered the late-night radio broadcasts, the warnings about the alternates, entities that hide in the dark and steal your identity. They don't attack you physically right away. They use extreme psychological warfare. They mimic human voices, break down your mind, and trick you into letting them inside. Suddenly, the CB radio on my van's dashboard crackled to life with a burst of deafening white static. The volume was impossibly loud. A low, distorted voice echoed from the cabin speakers. It sounded exactly like my own voice, but it was being played backward, echoing as if it were speaking underwater. She wasn't walking toward me. She had dropped to the ground. Through the narrow gap under the van, I watched her violently drag her stretched, broken body across the wet pavement toward me at a terrifying, unnatural speed. Slap drag, slap drag, slap drag. The wet, heavy sound of her leather boots and hands dragging on the asphalt echoed over the rain. She was moving like a massive spider, her limbs glitching and twitching. "No, no, no," I screamed, scrambling up and ripping the driver. Side door open. I threw myself inside the cabin and slammed the heavy door shut just as a freezing pale hand smashed violently against the driver's side window. The glass spider webbed, cracking under the unnatural force. I frantically slammed down the lock button. I jammed the key into the ignition and twisted it. The engine choked, sputtered, and finally roared to life. I threw the gear shift into drive and slammed my foot onto the gas pedal. The heavy van peeled out, the tires spinning on the wet road before catching grip and launching forward into the pitch black night. I drove for 20 minutes straight, pushing the van to 80 miles an hour. My entire body was shaking violently. The heater was blasting, but I couldn't stop shivering. I survived. I had gotten away. The rain slowly began to let up, replaced by an eerie, dead silence inside the cabin. I finally took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. I instinctively glanced up at the rearview mirror to look at the empty road behind me. But the road wasn't in the mirror. Sitting in the absolute pitch black darkness of the cargo hold, directly behind my seat, I saw the faint, yellow reflection of a raincoat and the slow, heavy sound of breathing. They say Highway 50 is the loneliest road in America. But if you drive it at 3:13 a.m., you are never truly alone.